I'm always right. Been around since the 80s and wasn't always cool, especially with the ladies. I was a damn fool. Dad was an alcoholic. Mama, she had to leave him. Grew up around the fighting, the fussing, cussing, and cheating. That's when I started breaking all of the rules, selling drugs and robbing people. I was kicked out of school. I was a bad kid, tearing shit up, sleeping on couches with 40 bottles and cigarette butts. Years go by and I got sick. Stage 4 lymphoma, how'd I get this shit? Lucky to be alive, so I changed my ways. I'm on that good life tip today. I'm looking for the good life, good life. Sitting on top of the world, I wanna be shining like diamonds and pearls. I want you to go there with me, girl. I'm looking for the good life, good life. Baby, we can have it all. We can make love by the waterfalls. I'm living that good life after all.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Bleaves. This is Breakfast with Bleaves, and we are here today to talk about all kinds of different tokens in the cryptocurrency market. We are trying to make sure that you know and that you're informed what you need to know in order to make it through this crypto day. And we're going to start off with Luna Classic. And Luna Classic did exactly what we expected it to do. It did exactly what we expected it to do. It had a breakout. This breakout came a little while ago. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles outside of that little channel that we had. And I apologize about my voice. I was a little bit sick, under the weather, and my voice is kind of giving out a little bit. But we had 5 candles that came up completely outside. We had one right here during that big pump that kind of took us outside. So we're outside of that channel, which means that we should form a new pattern that we'll be able to kind of track at some point. What we need to see right now, but that we haven't seen, is any kind of retracement. So if we get a normal, let's call it a normal Fibonacci retracement, right? Then we would look at, maybe from here to here, and we would see it draw down maybe to the 50% level, something like that, and then start to bounce back up. Well, then we would have a positive sort of trajectory where we can kind of make a determination on which way we're going. However, one of the most important parts to remember is the market cap on crypto in the last few hours has gone out of sight. Like, this is we're seeing an incredible sort of relief rally. We haven't hit 1 trillion again. It would be nice to get up here into that 1 trillion range. So we've got some ways to go. There's still some resistance along the way on getting into that position. Bitcoin's trading at 20,500, but I did an analysis on it this morning, and I know I got a lot of lines here, but this right here, this yellow line, this is the Fed. This is when the Fed is going to make their announcement. That's going to be about noon on November 3rd. And what we witnessed was this down here. So, we were talking about this thing was moving and we were getting lower highs, but we were getting this kind of move right here, and that we were scheduled to have a breakout somewhere right here. Well, we ended up getting the breakout exactly where we wanted it, right? That started a little pump, but it wasn't sustained. And we got that little dump. And this was, if you look here, this was the Asian market at night leading into the European markets. And then we had like a little turnaround. We had some consolidation right here. Then we used this green line. Remember, we put this green line out here about 2 days ago. This was a point of contact here that maybe we were going to trend along this line. And of course we did. And then boom, we had this nice little takeoff right here. And that puts us in a position where we've got this much time. So we have from here to here, or we have 8 days right now. What is this? 8 days and 2 hours. We've got about 8 days left to do something, right? So I think that the next thing is we're going to consolidate. The consolidation period is probably it would be nice if we came down and retested this one time. That's the logical path, is for it to come down here and test before making a move up to 21.2. But as you can see here, like as I'm drawing it, what I'm looking at is I'm looking for 22.8. to be where we end up, right? So I think that we're going to have a nice big sort of lift here. So in order for that to happen, we're going to have like a perfect news cycle. If we have a really good sort of news cycle that takes us through that pattern, then maybe 22.8 is what we're going to end up with on a relief rally before we get to the Fed announcement. The Fed announcement is probably going to be 75 basis points on the 3rd, as they fulfill what they consider to be their task at this point. And then once we've done that, then we can probably consider at that point that then we can probably consider some sideways action before the next one. And the next one is going to be, it's my understanding, probably 50 basis points. And if that's 50 basis points, then that means that December we should have a maybe not a relief rally, but at least some good positive sort of sideways action. But at the end of it, at the end of it, we're going to have a dip. And then January, we're going to have another dip. And then February comes around. And then February should start a relief, right? That's kind of the way. And really just if you just look at the history of these monthlies, right? Yesterday, we were talking about this being down, and today it's up 6%. And there's still more pump to come. So it looks like we're going to get our standard green October. And then we have to look over here and see, like, 3 of the last 4 years, we've had red Novembers and December. So we might just get a red November and December. But January or February and March have been 3 out of 4 good ones. So maybe we start to see a little pump coming in February and March for tax time, because that's the idea, right? People are using their tax money. So this would be just at a guess exactly where we are. So if we're doing Ethereum, then we got to look a little bit further out, in fact, to get a 4-hour chart. So right here, you can see that, like, this mess right here where we got rejected here on Ethereum kind of coincides with this little, like, you can see across here, like, we've used it as support, we've used it as resistance just a little bit, but that looks like the kind of area that we're in. Then you have right here 1653. So the next big spot is going to be 1650. Yeah, 1650 right there. Then there's another one right up here at 1789, let's call it 1800. It's not really, but close enough. 1795. So those are the two big numbers that we're looking for if we're going to get a decent relief rally. 1650 and 1800 on Ethereum. That would be doing exactly what Bitcoin's doing, because the whole idea here is Bitcoin has a couple of resistance points here that it has to hit, and same thing with Ethereum. So if it can push through these, then that's where we end up. But I mean, listen, we're getting exactly what we expected. We're getting exactly the moves that we intended to get, right? We got this spike. We finally have some positivity in October. Make sure, by the way, that if you haven't already, not financial advice, take your profits. Don't get yourself wrecked trying to hold out for that bigger and better move, because listen, this is a gigantic move and you have to have some perspective. How long do these moves last? Well, they don't last very long. And then they always come back down and correct. So, this is a move that's starting to taper. You can see that right now. So if you start to look at the highs, right, we had this nice little run right here. Then you have this low, and then you have this low, then you have this one, then you have this. Now you have this one. So this is moving back to the downside, right? And if you look at where it settles every time, same thing. Now we're back on this downside. What we meant in the next couple of hours will matter, because it's possible that this is just a breather before the next leg up. But you need a lot of positivity for that. And if you go look at the Dow Jones overnight, you don't see a huge amount of positivity. You see some muted kind of caution at this point. You're seeing down 92 points. but the NASDAQ is down 208. It's not the those are not the best numbers that you want to see. Now, those also, by the way, could be an entire fake out. That could be a complete and utter fake out. So when you come over here and look at the earnings reports, you had Boeing miss, you had Hess miss, you had Waste Management beat, you had Harley Davidson beat, then you had Kraft Heinz beat. Anything with food is going to beat right now, right? General Dynamics on revenue of 10 billion beat. Crescent Point beat, by the way. Matter of fact, we should probably go back here and see Boeing missed. So 618. It's a 618 loss per share. Boeing had a big miss. Hess, 3.2, 189, 188. Hess hit. This is just the earnings whisperer gives you some ridiculous number that they think, and they're not very good at this, apparently. So Waste Management beat, Harley Davidson beat, Kraft Heinz beat, General Dynamic beat, Crescent Point Energy beat, Hilton beat, Thermoscience beat, Bristol Myers beat, Encore Wire beat big time. Jesus Christ. That market share is going up. Teradyne beats Chipotle, and that was last night. So Chipotle beats. Everybody still loves some Chipotle. But the important thing last night was Microsoft beats, but guides lower. Consensus was 229. They ended up at 235 a share on revenue of 50 billion. And then you had a little bit before that, you had Google. Google misses. The earnings were $1.06 a share, but the consensus was $1.25 a share. So Google is having a little bit of trouble with their advertising revenue. And to be fair, like I can tell you, you could look at my earnings on YouTube. Like I feel like I've been telling anybody who will listen for a little while that Google is struggling with ad revenue because I get much bigger. I get much bigger. And by the way, if anybody wants me to look at their token, that's done through super chats. So I'm happy to do it. But if you want me to look at your token, then do a super chat and we'll stop and check it out. But other than that, we're going to move on with my content. Now, I've been saying for a long time that ad revenue for YouTube has been way down. There was a time where the number of views that I got or the number of views that I get right now would pay me probably $3,000 a month on YouTube. And right now it's something like 2,000. So like it's really really down. And that's what's happening right now. And it's affecting them. So it's probably, they're obviously it's temporary, but it's there and it exists and it's going to affect this market going forward. So, but anyway, look, anything that runs like all this stuff is doing right now is subject to a fall. And look, we've never seen a situation in which there was a massive run up that didn't fall. It's just been a matter of timing. So we saw this massive run up start right here. And then we got this all the way up here and then boom, there we go. So what goes up will always come down. Now, just depends on how big this rally is, how long it takes before it comes down. So let's hope that we get a nice rally. Now, what does that mean for Luna Classic? To be fair, Luna Classic is now moving with the market. If you remember, we were talking for a long time about how it was moving outside of the market. Well, it's moving with the market now. So we've had the breakout. We're going to get rid of this. Excuse me. So it's moved out of that. And now we're looking for a new pattern to emerge so that we can kind of just get an idea of what's happening or what will happen. And I don't really have one kind of set up yet. I mean, you can see here, if you look this way, then there is a resistance level that's kind of formed. And my line there is kind of arbitrary. You know, when you zoom in, like you may or may not be, you know, just kind of hitting on it perfectly. So it's just, this is kind of a guideline at this point, but you can see that that's kind of a resistance line. So we want to see this thing pop over this right now. And thanks for the $50, Scott Bell. Appreciate you, man. You want this to pop over and start to use it as support so that it can bounce back upwards. And we need to keep seeing some positivity. Now, the problem with the positivity on Luna Classic is, let's go to Coin Market Cap. It's a little easier at this point to use. And then duplicate, and then we want lunk. All right, so as we can see here, the volume has spiked tremendously, right? And the market cap is at 1.6. So what we're looking for is we're looking for signs of positivity, right? And when we look at the burns, so we're not seeing the massive move on the burns that we were hoping for, because really what we were looking for, remember, we were looking for KuCoin, we were looking for Gate.io to come out of the gates, right? But we haven't seen any of that yet. These right here, the Lunk Blaze portal. This is, so these are not like the big, really this is just like fan stuff. This is advertisement over here. I think you've even seen a couple times, you've seen Crypto King and Matthew Perry and people like that. They're burning some tokens that you can look at over here. And then you can see, like, you know, what they're doing over here. Like, here's All Nodes. They did their burn. Now, remember, All Nodes is burning all their fees. So that was 30 million. So, you know, there's burn that exists, but, you know, it's just not gigantic. And we haven't seen the big amount that we're looking for from KuCoin, Gate.io, all the people who said that we're supporting the 0.2%. So at some point that's going to have to come out. We're going to have to get a little bit, we're going to have to get a little bit of news on that one. But recognize that we're on a pump. Recognize that we're on a pump. Be happy that we're on that pump, and let's hope that we get we get a nice little run going. It would be nice. Now remember, every time we go up, we are sacrificing excuse me, we're sacrificing burn every time we make a move to the upside. So it's always good to see some of this move be muted, because it's better if you get up here to 2,500. It's better to be on a nice little run, and then right before somebody's going to do some burns, that we dump back down to a 22 or a 21. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost as if the price doesn't matter right now for anybody who's an investor. And I know that you guys, you know, I know a lot of people want to see the price. And look, if you're in this for short term and you're here to make like a, if you're looking to make like a quick play, right? Then there's plenty of quick play that you can make. There's plenty of quick play that you can make. You can go from 23 to 24 or 25. And, you know, if you're playing enough money, then you make a little bit off of this, right? And remember, we had these, this was just crazy, all of the movement that was happening over here, and that will still happen, right? So, you know, you look at all of these little movements right here, and you look at this is 25 going to 28. I mean, that's a 10% pump right there. So you look from here to 23 up to 25, that's 2.3, 2.5. So that's another 10% bump. So, you know, you can see these bumps happening, right? You see these moments where you can make some money off of. You just got to call the bottom and call the top on each one of them. So if you're doing that, then sure, you can make something out of it. But you got to be very careful. You got to be very careful, because it can dump at any time. But again, it really, at this point, the price doesn't matter. Now, with that being said, Edward Kim is putting out a Unity programming video, I think, that's going to explain to you how to use Luna Classic with Unity so that you can make video games. And the more people that make video games that people play that use Luna Classic, the more it will burn. So that's gonna happen. So we'll get we'll get reduced supply. Right now, the best thing that you're going to have that's going to happen is you're going to have partnerships. So the Neblio partnership, it seems like people really don't like Neblio. So that partnership might go by the wayside. I'm not sure how that plays out yet. We're kind of awaiting, seeing what it is. And I don't know why they're disagreeing. Look, there's some crazy people out there that just, they either want to be mad or they want to disagree with something, constantly. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the deal is with Neblio. From what I've seen with Neblio, I've questioned it, and you guys have heard me question it a lot of times. Like, I don't like the fact that I hadn't heard of them since 2018. They just disappeared, and they were gone forever. And then all of a sudden they're bringing out Jocelyn and Ren to do this AMA, and one of them didn't show up. So I don't like that. But by the same token, like, I don't have any real reason, like a real reason to dislike them. I don't have any real reason that I should not, that I shouldn't be happy with the opportunity for a partnership, especially after I keep getting assurances from everybody that they're not financially, like the Terra Rebels are not compensated. Like, the only thing that they're doing is helping to get this blockchain up and operating again. And the reason that they're doing it, their payment, quote unquote, is not even in tokens. It's just in the reputation that they would get in a community for having helped the Terra Rebels get this thing up and operational. And they were introduced by Binance. Now, Binance does not have anything to do with Neblio, but they were introduced through an intermediary that works for Binance. So, I mean, that's not Binance speaking for Neblio, but it is an introduction, but courtesy of someone who they've been contacting with Binance. So I would think that this is a decent thing. So I don't know why everybody's taking every opportunity to dump on them. But you know what? We have a community full of different people that have different opinions about stuff, and they want to see different things happen. So, one of the things that you should point out in your mind all the time is that Ed Kim doesn't have the same opinion as Alex Forshaw, and neither of them have the same opinion as Tobias Anderson. Like, they all think differently about what the next move is, and that's why what you're watching here is so fascinating. Because let's imagine that Ed Kim's idea originally was to repeg USTC. Alex Forshaw said, no, we need a USTN. We need a brand new token, which then got adopted by Ed Kim. He was like, okay, I guess that sounds better, because then we don't have the USTC and that, what is it now, $9 billion debt hanging over our heads. We just leave that in the hands of Luna. And then Tobias comes in with a much longer term plan about creating partition pools where people are able to trade in their own little partition pools and, create different and vast ecosystems within the blockchain that, not another Polygon, not another layer two solution, but a literal partition where you can take Luna Classic and turn it into like whatever token you want. And then you buy your token with Luna Classic and just continue to fund your ecosystem. And, all of these ideas are really good ideas. All of them can work. All of them have some validity. Well, except for the USTC part. I think that's going to be kind of dead at some point. I'm not sure that USTC, I think USTC is getting a pump right now just because of where it is. But as you can see right here, even with the pump, it's still following what we talked about before. Like, this little channel is just getting narrower and narrower and narrower. And this only leads to the downside. Like this, there's no upside momentum to USTC. There's no logical reason for it to pump. Okay. This finishes maybe down here, somewhere in this around the Fed meeting area. And then what I think that we're going to end up seeing off of this is a natural progression. Maybe hit this a couple times, but again, just tighten up in this area and then it's down. But that seems to be the logical move because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any value. And we're trying to move away from it from a value perspective. And the only thing that it does have in value is the potential that Luna 2.0 will be given to USTC holders in their wallets. That would be that's what I mean. Look, this is it's my opinion. It's my opinion. So I'm not an expert, but I'm a pretty good spurt. So we should, by the way, look at the Dow overnight. But Luna 2.0, maybe you'll get some from your USTC. That seems to be about the best you can hope for. And Dow futures have retraced a little bit, so we're going to see an interesting open right now. It's the Nasdaq future down 201. Like that's a huge number for the Nasdaq. So I think the tech stocks are probably going to struggle today. But we're going to see. Like we're going to see because there's some real opportunities. So let's move on real quick to a couple of other things. DeConnect is up 11.5% on the day. Hex is having a run. Guys, let me tell you something, and I'll tell you this. I told myself, and I kid you not, back over here, not in this area, but back where did it go? Right here. So when it hit 27 cents, did it hit 27? No, when it hit 30, that's not it. Yeah, so when it hit down somewhere here. Yeah, so when it hit 35 cents over here, I was like, you know what? This is probably the move to make a quick play on this. And it pumped up to 55, like 5.5 cents from this. That's like a 70% increase. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put 20 grand. The next time it hits 30, and it hit 27, by the way. But the next time it hits 30, I'm just going to throw 20 grand into it and just see what happens. God damn it, I should have done it. You know what I mean? Like I should have done it because I knew, like I could tell from the patterns, like the way it bounces off of support. But I would have looked at this and I'd been like this, and I'd be like, you know what? It's 10%. I'll take 2 grand. You know what I mean? And I would have G'd it out of it to begin with because I'm not trying to get this. I'm not risking it all for just in case this thing happens. You know what I mean? Like I got enough plays that I look. And by the way, just to give you guys an idea of the way I think of things right now. The way I think of things right now is this, and I'll be specific, okay? I feel like I'm already a millionaire just because of my position in Luna Classic. Like I legitimately feel like the only variable at this point is time, right? That no matter what's going to happen at the end of this ride, I'm going to have at least $1 million, right? I got 10,647,169 delegated. I've gotten 59,676 in rewards. Like, let's just say, for example, these guys can get this thing to $1, right? And I don't move. I don't move from what I'm doing, right? Just on the rewards alone, I have $700,000. If I decide to cash out at 10 cents, that would be $70,000. Think about that. That's about a year's salary, right? So, I mean, you could live off $70,000. I mean, you can't live great, but you could live off of $70,000. You know what I mean? So, and it's just going to keep going. So, like, I feel really good about my position. Same thing with Volt. Like, I feel really good about my position with Volt. This is a $45 million market cap that could 10x in a heartbeat and be a $450 million market cap. It's already done that, you know? Was burning not plan B? No. Okay, so plan A was always the repegging or the pegging of Luna Classic to USTC, but it wasn't sure that it was going to be USTC. That was always plan A. Plan B was Binance doing 1.2% burns, and that's what Vegas morphed. That's why he did that stuff and created these things, right? All of those little pieces that go into place where 1.2% burn here, or 0.1% or 0.2%, whatever the burns were that were going individually out on the blockchain, like those were an additional plan. Those are just an additional burn. The big burn comes from the repegging of the Terra Classic tokens back to like USTN. And just to give you an idea, this is USTN. Let's say that the volume, and by the way, I have done, I did do a chart on this a while back. So and it was based on, it was based on how much was going to be burned and stuff like that, right? So if we were to burn 28 million, like 28 million. So if we had in volume, and I'm talking about volume, and so don't get it twisted here, right? There's going to be good days and bad days with USTN, but let's say that there's 28 million in volume for USTN. That means half of that is going to be buys and half of that's going to be sells. Okay, roughly speaking, it's not always perfect, but we have 28 million. So of that 28 million, 60% of half of it, basically. So all the buys, 60% of that will go towards burning tokens. So you take 14 million just today, right? Take 14 million roughly, which is half, times 0.6 equals 8.4 million, right? So you would be buying 8.4 million in tokens today. So 2, 3. You would be buying and burning 336 billion tokens. No, I'm sorry. You'd be burning 33.6 billion tokens. That was way too far. You'd be burning 33.6 billion tokens per day. Now, remember, there would be a dilution of the effect because the price would shoot up when something like that were to happen. But, for a couple days, you'd be burning 33.6 billion tokens just off of this type of volume. So that's why this is such a massive sort of undertaking, right? Like that's why all of this stuff is just, it's going to get crazy. And by the way, look at this right here. Remember we were talking Monday. I was telling you, like Sunday night, $29 billion worth of volume. And I said, we can't support crypto that way. We need to have $100 billion, 120. Remember Monday we said we have to have $120 billion in volume. Well, we almost got it. That would support like a $2 trillion market cap if we could ever like get motivated and get in that position. But anyway, so if we did that, then we would start getting burns of 33.6 billion per day. Now, just to put perspective on that, the Luna Classic burns over here. When you look at the way that it's burning right now, the total number of burns is 7 billion. We're talking about 33 billion a day. So that's going to be incredible. So let's see what happens, All right. So now back to what we were doing here. Now we did just witness, if you see here, we did just witness, what is this? $15 billion come out of the market in just a snap of a finger, basically. And you're seeing, you notice here, it's like the risk coins. It's like Shiba, Hulk. You're seeing like Saitama, the risk tokens, Volt. You're seeing all of those starting to backtrace a little bit and backtrack just a little bit. And that's because money is coming out of those and going into the main tokens right now. So the market, the way this is going, the market appears to have opened, and it opened and then flashed red and went completely green. So, maybe we're going to have another bit of relief happening right here. But now remember, for anybody who's not, if you're making any kind of trades for the day, something to remember. What we saw yesterday was very atypical of cryptocurrency, especially like right around here. Like you normally don't see this during American hours. Like that's a rarity that you ever see. what you normally see during American hours is this kind of shit right here. Or let's go here, right here, this kind of shit right here. The American market tends to be kind of sideways. So, let's see how this pumps. Let's see how it does. But we might be having more pump going in this market. Like, we may not be done yet, and that's going to be a great thing. To move on, though, DeConnect is up 27.9% on the day. Lillian Finance is up 17% on the day. MMAI making a move at 16%. Hulk Inu is up at 15.6%. Boxa is up at 15% to 43. Terra is up 14% overnight to 88.48. They have a release coming very soon, centralized exchange. WAGMI's at 36.79, up 9%. Volt is up 6.6% to 68.44. Defund is down 2%, and then Swing is down 18.4%. So we're seeing a lot of movement, and we're seeing a lot of big bumps in these numbers right now. So watch these things, and let's see what happens. Now, there you go. Remember what we were talking about, by the way. I said at some point, that's what happened yesterday. 1.12 billion short liquidations wrecked the bearish outlook. That was the ETH rally yesterday. Remember when we were talking about it, and I said, I posted on Twitter, and look, you don't need confirmation of it. You just, like, when you see it, you know what I mean? 20 hours ago, shorts just got liquidated AF. I had no knowledge of what was going on. I had no idea what was really happening. When you see it, you know what I mean? Like this right here, this meant that there was an absolute wreckage that had happened on somebody who got liquidated. And, what you're talking about is, if you remember, we were really talking about this a couple days ago. 1,300 was fought for so long. Now you add 10% to 1,300, and that's 1,430. And that is the spot in which you're probably going to start to see shorts get liquidated. Now, the other thing is, we weren't just trading at 1,300. We were holding a line at 1,300, but it was mostly in the 1,320, 1,340 range, right? So what was going to happen? Well, we were going to get to 1,430. And if we could pump over 1,430, we were going to start to see some shorts get liquidated AF, right? Well, that's exactly what happened. As soon as we hit 1430, we had a huge liquidation, and then that pumped it up, and then we had another liquidation, and that's what caused this massive, massive move, is that we were just absolutely wrecking these shorts, and they were setting 10% stop losses, which is standard, right? And then bang, all of this money just cascaded back into the market, and those guys lost 10% just like that. Boom. And then that's where we got here. That caused a little move here, and then of course here we are. So now you got to look where more shorts might be or anything like that. And I think we've reached through that. So maybe we've got some more coming up here. So we got a ways to go before we start to see another big liquidation, but like that was just crazy. All right, I seem to be losing signal right now, so I hope everybody can still hear me. But anyway, so yeah, they got super liquidated. App Store, NFT. We already talked about this. We already talked about most of this stuff. Look at that ETH number, 16.8% for the day. That's a really good pump on Ethereum, and a welcome rally. I absolutely a welcome rally. 50%, by the way. Hex is up 50% on the day. Crypto markets see largest short liquidations in 15 months. Man, I can't imagine how I can't imagine how that was like. Can you imagine that? Like, look, I don't like. Here's what I don't like. Right? I don't like shorting stuff. Like that means you're betting on something to fail, right? So to me, that just seems like bullshit. But I mean, it's just one direction. Do you think it's going up? Do you think it's going down? So, I don't like it, but I understand why I understand why it's a business model. But God, I want them to get wrecked every single time because I only like to play the ups. So I'm always playing for something to go up. Being against stuff makes me feel bad. You know what I mean? So that to me makes it look, I'm investing in something that I think has long term is as risky as I like to get. Betting on something to fail just seems to me to be disingenuous. So I don't like betting on to fail. So when I see it get wrecked like that, I just love it. I just love it. Like I would look, I would, and here's the thing, I'm big enough that I'd dance right in front of your face. If I saw you got liquidated for millions of dollars, I'd be like, "Hey Kramer, what's up, daddy? Heard you got liquidated. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Ha 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 ha. Face. You know what I mean? Like I absolutely don't like them. So what do I think about the new validators coming in 17 hours? That's going to create more opportunity for people to I think that that's an opportunity companies that we have not seen yet or more businesses that we've not seen yet come in and start to do more with and for the community and create opportunities that might not have existed to get into the platform and get themselves making dApps or becoming part of the ecosystem. I know we got who do we have? We got Classy Crypto is making a Crypto King is going to go ahead and make a validator. When he says go ahead, we're just going to go ahead and do this, and then we're just going to go ahead and do. Oh God! So he's going to make a one called "Go Ahead and Do It." So we've got new validators that are coming. And I mean, we'll see. First of all, it's got to we've got to create the ecosystem. The ecosystem actually has to exist. So I guess the way I'm hedging this is by trying to say I don't think that it's going to have a free component that we need to have added back in because it will make a difference at some point. I think we just have to get to the spot where it actually makes a difference. And I think that I'm losing connection again because I'm not seeing prices move at all on my chart. Yeah, guys, it looks like I'm having connection issues, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. All right, it's not financial advice. My name's Believes. I'm always right. You guys be very careful. I hope you get this. Like my internet connection seems to be cutting over and over again, so I think something's going on here. So I'm going to cut it short just a little bit, and then we will see you guys again for Bedtime with Believes tonight. I'm going to medicate heavily and hope I feel better, and we should be on for it. Have a good night, and we'll see you.